Welcome to the Family Hour, empowering families, one episode at a time. And this is our Friday episode where we talk about everything and anything concerning parenting. Hi dear viewer, welcome. We are happy to have you. We are happy to know that you are there. Blessed. Praise the Lord. Well, my name is Claire Bwenje, your world's favorite host. And in case you just joined in, the Family Hour happens Monday to Friday. And briefly, to fill you in, I'll let you know the theme of every day. So Monday, our theme is on education and career. You don't want to miss that. And on Tuesday, it's on family health. You know how that is very important? Yes. And on Wednesday, it is family, finance, and wealth. We talk about everything and anything concerning money. And on Thursday, it is leadership and governance. Such a very important theme. And guess what? On Friday, parenting. That's why we are here today. And ladies and gentlemen, today our topic is managing conflicts and disagreements in the family. And to discuss this, it is a great couple, well dressed in the African print. You'll be amazed. They've been married for 28 years. Oh my God, God, you're so good. Join me, welcome Mr. Sam Turyatemba together with his dear wife, Mrs. Carol Turatemba. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do it the family our way. You are welcome.
Thank you.
Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
You look great. You're smart.
Thank you.
Who designed you? Carol or Sam?
Actually, it was our daughter.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
this was our daughter.
This is so
I
beautiful.
think she went for a trip. When she was coming back, she came with this print and she asked us to put it on.
Oh.
And we are now putting it on this special day.
Amazing. I have my neighbor. Every time she would receive something from a friend, from the daughter, she'd be like, Okzala Tamba.
Yes, it was our Turatemba indeed.
Wow. Let's have.
Yes.
How are you?
We're fine. How are you?
28 years.
28 years,
I
yes.
tap on Carol, first bless me. 28 years.
Yes, 28
Yes, by
years.
the
Oh my
grace of
God.
By the grace of
yes.
God, we are.
How is it?
It's been okay.
Amazing.
It's been 28 years.
And you're still looking
And we're
this
still
young.
we are young and we're still moving on.
Amen.
And we are even hoping for more 28 years.
More.
Yes.
You will invite me on the other 28 for the celebration. Wow.
Yes.
I will cut the cake.
Okay.
Cut one.
Thank you.
Happy to have you here. Please say hello to our viewers.
Yes, hello viewers. We're glad to be on Family TV and we are happy that we are going to share our lives with you people, and may God bless you as you listen to us.
Wow. God
Good
bless
evening,
you too.
viewers. It's a blessing to be here.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Family TV.
Wow, you're welcome. It's a pleasure to have the Turyatembas in the studio this evening. And they are born again Christians. They have been married for 28 years. They are blessed with 5 children and 1 beautiful grandchild so far. They are passionate about prayer. Oh my God, I love prayer too. Farming and family life. Oh, farming. What are you farming this season?
Farming is now, of course, I grew up in the village, digging and working on the farm. But now we have sort of retired and we're trying to do now farming again. But this time we're going to go farming in dairy.
Oh.
We are actually mobilizing with our neighbors, our friends, our parishes, our gombora into a dairy farming.
Oh, wow.
We're in a district where dairy farming was the main thing long ago, and all the cows were the land became too small. The cows were sold off. They started growing coffee and bananas, and now they think they could not have cows. But now we are with them and we're encouraging them to do zero grazing.
Oh.
And we have started with them, and most people have embraced it. And so far, we're about 300 and going strong.
Wow.
Yes.
That's so good of you. You're impacting the whole village. Wow, that is really, really nice. They are currently premarital marriage counselors at All Saints Cathedral, Kampala. Don't die in your own movie. They are counselors here. And lead a home builders marriage fellowship. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome these great, amazing guests that Turatembas. And now we go straight to our topic today, managing conflicts and disagreements in the family. But I always ask myself, where are the disagreements and conflicts coming from? I mean, we are family. I got married to you. You were telling me you love me so much. Actually, you cannot sleep. You love me until Lake Victoria dries. But here we are. Conflicting, small, big things. I keep asking myself, why? But today in our sharing, I believe we are going to understand where the conflicts, the disagreements come from. And of course, I'll begin by asking, what are some of the conflicts or disagreements we see today in the different families?
You go first.
Okay.
Ladies first. Carol.
Okay. The conflicts come around finances. That is one place where conflicts can be. We also have registered conflicts in the area of child management, raising children, handling new members of the family. Your family is expanding, you're getting in-laws, how are you handling them? We also look at the different individuals or different characteristics of people in the family. You find there are people who are more pushy than others, and when they come into the place, you just know something is going to happen in that space. But that is who they are, and you learn to live with them. You also look at the area of politics and religion. Politics and religion, you'll find different individuals depending on the background. These days we have mixed marriages around either somebody's of one faith and the other one is of another faith. How do they come together? How do they manage? And then the different cultures. We have a lot of intermarriages now. Then you look at it. Then you look at the different backgrounds. Different families have different values and different ways they do things. But when families merge, then you start seeing some of those areas. But also conflict coming out of conspiracy of silence, where you don't share information. Someone is doing something and somebody and the rest of the family does not know, or a group of members of the family decide to collude and say, let's do this thing and keep this other person out. And so when the other one gets to know about it, then of course it causes conflict. Then last week you discussed fidelity, something to do with fidelity. Also infidelity in the family, breach of trust. Those areas are areas where conflict arises. And then knowing how to talk to one another, the way we speak to each other. Some of those things also raise conflict. Am I rash? Am I too blunt? Am I insensitive? What are some of the things that I could do to stir up negative emotions in another person? And they begin thinking I take them for granted or something like that. And so also not acknowledging the good that somebody has done. Yeah, not affirming people. So people begin to withdraw because there's a level of conflict.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I really know. I know whenever she's speaking about every point, she's speaking not because we have studied, we have done them, but we have experienced them. When she said about politics and religion, in our family and in our life, it has also caused out of conflict. Finance, as I'm only adding on what you're saying.
Yes, please.
Even lending to a family member, or refusing to lend, or refusing to help, or having a reason, especially around finance, causes conflict. One has studied, one has failed in school, and they start looking at the other one, the one who has studied. I mean, they start ganging up and everything. Favoritism. One time a father or a mother or a child feels they are favoring one against the others, the feeling even of that maybe they have asked for something and so gets and this one doesn't get, all those cause conflict. And some of them you cannot identify them, you cannot see them, but they are embedded. True, we go to different schools, we go to different areas. The friends we have and the characters they put in us, and we face there, develop what makes us have a way of looking at things differently. So attitudes are also different. So attitudes also bring conflict. There are so many things that bring conflict in a family. So I can say also as we grow up, we experience a lot of things that make us have different opinions, different attitudes, different value systems, different way we look at life, and conflict is bound. But one thing you have to know is conflict has to be there in life. You cannot live a life without conflict. But the way is, what is important is how do we manage conflict? Because we know that also conflict can be a source of learning, can be a source of encouragement, can be a source of improving our lives. Because lives without also conflict can be boring.
No. So you need some conflict to just help
to
you.
stir you up a bit, as long as it doesn't go beyond.
It is healthy. Yes. So you talked about what matters the most is how you manage. So I think we will listen from you. How can one manage conflict in a marriage, in family?
In the family. There are so many scenarios I could give of managing conflict. For example, finance. Actually, finance brings a lot of conflict in the family. Maybe you have a cow, maybe you have the chicken. Your father sells the cow, gives this one, and this one doesn't get. So, managing the finances in a home, for example,
even daily expenditures.
How do you manage? Of course, I have seen in my life that lending and borrowing from each other in a family causes conflict. And a lot of us have suffered because you have lent to your brother. And your brother takes you for granted, doesn't want. When he's paying, you are the last one to pay, or he does not pay you. Causes conflict. And the way we do about that finances, sometimes we look at making an agreement or a standing way of written document to a family member. It looks as if it is not right, but we should do it. We should make an agreement, terms of payment, even if there is no interest, that thing should be done.
Yeah.
So to avoid conflict. I've seen family members go to court, and sometimes when they go to court, they do not have anything to present. It is the word against the other word. So the best thing to do is, can you also make an agreement? Like in normal other situations. I will make an agreement with a stranger, with somebody else, but when it comes to my brother, I say my brother will give me. If you can afford to lose that money, that's okay. But it will cause conflict if they do not pay. There are issues like assets. You are a family member, you acquire assets together, or you build, you start a farm together, and sometimes there is no documentation. So the asset acquisition, then when it comes even to sometimes disposal, one disposes of, and another one doesn't know how you have disposed of, it brings also conflict. So there are things when you are dealing with family members which look normal, but which should be documented, properly documented, and put boundaries of how we are going to operate business together, or assets together, or anything together that includes finance.
But that makes me a little bit curious. You are my brother, and I am your sister. I mean, what is yours should be mine. Why should we go into writing all these documents of you should pay me like that, pay me like the other? I believe as sisters and brothers, we should, understand that, okay, this is my sister's money. When it comes to it, I should pay if I've delayed. So what is really, taking us to the side of, okay, you're my sister, but still we have to go the right, proper way of this.
I think one of the challenges now is previously the way families grew up, you grew up in the same homestead, you grew up in the same compound, and it was like everything was shared. But even if somebody had a goat, it was still known that that was so and so's goat, or that was someone's chicken, or the other one was someone's cow. And if you traded it, there was a way you still traded it in order to give everybody the comfort of knowing whatever I'm doing is valued. Now, as we get into this cash economy, there are so many things that are exchanging hands on the basis of money. And when you are family, just yourselves, siblings within a space, there is a way you manage yourself, and even if your brother cheats you, your sister cheats you of something, you kind of can maybe let it pass. But now the challenge comes, if you get married, okay, that kind of play begins to start having boundaries. Say, now I have to ask my wife, or I have to ask my husband. And last time we gave money to your brother, this is what we did. Last time we gave money to your sister, this is what happened. And then as your children are growing, they are also watching you and the way you are doing things. You may even have a conversation in the house, say, so-and-so borrowed money from me. That means you're talking about your brother or your brother-in-law. So-and-so borrowed money from me and they never paid it. And I'm feeling so bad about it. Of course you feel bad because somebody has what? Has said all this and that. And then your children also are picking it up. Okay? All right? So one of the things is when we say we have assets, there is a time when family becomes defined by way of me and my husband as opposed to me and my father's house. Okay? So in order to minimize that, we need to put certain boundaries. And where possible, also the same way a will is written and your father bequeaths to you something, the same way agree with your brother. Now, the way you manage that if he fails is different. But at least it shows that you made an effort to keep them, to hold them what? Accountable. And then of course also as you put things in writing, maybe you help them to develop a roadmap on exactly what it is that they want to do. For example, if you set the terms for support, he says, okay, I need some money, I have so much, I want to do this. Instead of making this person dependent on you with handouts, what you're purposing is helping them to become independent. Not just to refund what they got from you, but also to be useful to other people, so that when the time comes, you never know, it will be you now who will be needing the help. But once they are established, so putting things in writing has its place to help us understand what is going on. And even if you were to complain later, everybody would know that you did not make up a story. Yeah, you know, family gossip. You do not make up a story. There is actually a fact. And then on the fact of that, the family can intervene and say, okay, so and so you didn't do right.
Wow.
And then you can
and I like that. And that's really, really beautiful. I think also how we bring it up, how we, share it with them also matters. Because when it comes to family, there is too much emotion attached of how can my brother, how can my sister tell me to write an agreement. So I think how we bring it up, like you mentioned, like it's not for only us, but even for when they go outside there and they deal with many other people. I think it's important. Wow, thank you.
I could add on a bit about especially about the dependent syndrome. The family members usually, sometimes when they know they will come to Sam, he'll give them money. They'll come to Carol, he will help them with this one. They continue taking it for granted that there is money available. But sometimes when we make such agreements, they actually they develop some seriousness with what they are doing. They know now they're not going to find money just there. The dependent syndrome has a more problem. When we make them agreements, sometimes he comes with a proposal and you have the money. So, but the question you usually ask, how is this one going to help you or to help others? He has to demonstrate to me, for example, if I'm helping, even if the money is not coming back, that if he gets this money, he's going to invest maybe in a goat. Those goats might multiply and he will not come back. And if he has put down Sam, if you give me money and I'm buying these 2 goats, surely I'll look after them and they'll produce and I will not come back, or I will also look after somebody. Because as a family, I mean, it's not a matter of making an agreement, but to make you accountable, to make you understand that what you are doing is you cannot be just pushed aside. Because sometimes we have had in a family where one member would come, get some money from me or from Carol or from somebody else. Then he'll go around and tell our parents, for example, that they are not helping me. And even if you tell them same, it's word against the other word. So the best thing to do now is let's do this. They will say, but this is what we agreed upon. This is what we wrote down. How come can he say this one? Now, even the other people now, those people will start thinking, they will start now asking you as that member of the family, please do not take things for granted. You agreed to do A, B, C, D. Because the agreement, if it is in words, can be changed.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
We also find that there are other areas when the family has crisis. You can either be having a sick parent or a dependent child, a child with disability, or somebody else who needs extra care in the home. If it is a parent, the person who is housing the parent at that time will be under pressure to do whatever is required for the parent, especially if the parent is bedridden. That means bathing them, feeding them, taking care of them, because they're kind of incapacitated or have limited capacity to help themselves. Or maybe you have a child and the child has disabilities and it needs extra support to be able to take care of this child. So when we have those kind of stressors sometimes in the home, you will find that conflict can come. My siblings are not coming to help me, they're not helping me enough, and yet they know mommy or daddy needs this help. I mean, for me, they have abandoned everything to me, but I'm willing to do it, but I wish they could also come. And maybe mommy also or daddy wants to see somebody else, have a conversation that is different from mine, you know that their children care. And then you look at maybe a husband and a wife and they have this child and they're like, but daddy doesn't seem to care very much, and mommy is too busy at her workplace, so he's looking after this child at home. And so those areas begin to bring some kind of conflict, whether with the siblings or with the couple or other in the home. And so usually what would say, maybe it's time to talk together as a family, discuss the crisis that is at hand. How do we look after mom? How do we distribute our You find that there are those who really will not be there. They can be out of the country, or the kind of work they do is in a different district and they are not able to be there. But they can be able to send maybe financial assistance, or wherever they are available, they come, or they call on phone and they encourage you. They hear your struggles. You are able to tell them what the struggles are. Even with a child with disabilities, the same. Looking at how do we manage? What time do I take out? What time does it take out? What time who else can we pull into that space to be able to help us handle this crisis at a time such as this? And so when someone who's the caregiver does not receive appreciation, they begin to feel like people are taking them for granted, and the burden is too much. And so all that brings areas of conflict. But the caregiver needs to be able to let people know each time this is
communication. We will take we'll take it on from that. Dear viewer, please let's take a very quick break. We will return. The family hour returns after this. Please don't go anywhere. Cheers. Welcome back from that quick short break, and this is the Family Hour, empowering families one episode at a time. And this is the Friday episode where we talk about anything and everything concerning parenting. Today we have Carol and Sam in the studio, and our topic of discussion is managing conflict and disagreements in the family. And before we went for a break, we were talking about how to manage family conflicts or disagreements. And Carol was still sharing that we have stressors in the family. Maybe you have a sick mother or a sick father or a sick child, and when you don't get attention from family, it always results into conflicts. And that also can be managed by communication, communicating to your family. By the way, I need help here and there, and I believe you can get answers from your family. And I'll ask Carol to take it on from that.
Because, like you have said, communicating is very clear, is very important. We need to know, if I am taking care of daddy or mommy, or I'm taking care of the child, what do I need? Lay it out and let it be clear for everybody, whether they are financial needs, whether they are physical needs, whether they are emotional needs for you or for the person receiving care, whether they are spiritual needs, so that people can come in. Because we have experienced that taking care of our parents, when you get a clergyman coming in, or a member of the home cell coming in, or a member of the brethren coming in, praying with them, there is a way it uplifts both you, the caregiver, but also the person who is receiving the care. And so it is very important to spell out what are the needs, and then allow other people to also pick up. Know that everybody has a limitation. Yeah, so someone may not be able to bring their money, but someone may be able to give their time. Appreciate them for what it is that they are doing. Someone else may not be able to even lift, may not be strong enough, but just coming to keep company with a patient, or with a person who needs help, or with you, helping you with cleaning around the house, just having another person in the place. Because we have a friend who says, it's not about the presents, the gifts, but it's about the presence, being around, and let someone feel the warmth. There is a way my father-in-law says, abantu nomubazi. People are medicine. So when you have people around you, there is a way you can manage a crisis. The same way you can manage a funeral. The same way you can manage a wedding. Okay? All these things, because people are very important. Who else can you pull in? And those are all the things that we look at. Crisis will be there. If an accident has occurred, who is your first port of call? Who are these people that you have? What is that social support that you have that is there to absorb some of the shocks with you? And so those are some of the things we look at in the areas that bring conflict, especially when we are giving care. But I think there was something we were discussing also about new members in the family.
Yes. Yes, new members in the family. As we grow, and when you have a nuclear family, me and my parents and that's the first family. There are conflict in that family, as he has been sharing, especially in taking care of them and as we grow old. But it's when the families also receive other people from outside. Maybe I've married Carol. Now she has been part of my family. I've also been part of her family. My daughter has also married. They are also part of our family. So there are so many conflicts that comes because of that. Because these people are from different backgrounds. Maybe politically, religious backgrounds. Maybe they are from different tribes. They are from different faith, different. So many things are different, and they are coming together in the family, and the conflict is bound to happen. And sometimes you hear conflict between mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, father-in-law, son-in-law. All those conflicts come because we are two families. Some feel this one has taken away the position. Some say the finance, the resources are now going that side. It brings conflict, and in most cases we end up now labeling other people wrong. They also label us wrong. And actually, those are conflicts that can be even go beyond because now the family, they go beyond even districts. For example, me and her, we are from different background. She's from Eastern Uganda. I'm from Western Uganda. She was born a Catholic. She was raised Catholic. I was raised Anglican. She lived in the city. I lived in the village. We met and we are making your family. So you see the conflict. You can see now to resolve from being a Catholic to find where we go to worship. So we had even a conflict. Where do we go to worship? It took us so many years to settle where we are now. Because I think she first left the Catholic, said, okay, let me go to Pentecostal. I stayed Anglican. Then she later came to be an Anglican. So of course, the agreement. Now we go to their home. Our daughter has been taken away. All those are conflicts. So when you are speaking, how are they looking at you? This is a who snatched our daughter from our own faith. And when those conflicts come there, then there are also politics. You might be there, you might be TPC, you are also UPC, or they are on MT, they are UPM, these ones are what. There are so many conflicts of that sort. So when you speak, Some people label you, where you are coming from, where you grow up, where you are going. And those are the conflicts that also happen in families. So how do we manage them? How do we manage them?
That's the question here. How do we manage them? You started by saying they're inevitable.
Yeah, they're inevitable.
They will always be
They're
there.
inevitable,
So now we
they are
want to
inevitable.
find solution.
Yes, you have to find solutions.
Yes, and especially this that you're talking about. This whole thing of in-laws, you're joining the family, and of course you come with your expectations of I am going to be loved in this family and everything. And when you reach there, of course, even the other children want to feel like their parents are loving them so much. And of course, before you know it, the conflict, maybe mommy is favoring the other one, maybe daddy is favoring, and is forgetting about us. So what should parents do?
For one thing you have to remember, this person where she's coming from, she could have been the favorite.
Yes, they are favorite.
Then she comes, this one she finds even maybe the husband or the wife is not the favorite, but is there. So she starts. Inside there is already a lot of conflict.
There is a
So how do we manage such conflicts? How do we deal with such conflicts? We have dealt with them, because what I'm telling you is exactly what we went through. I remember even when I was going to marry, and I told them my wife comes from Eastern Uganda. The questions my mother asked me, from Murukunjiri, Tuntungamo, Tumbarala, to all that, were there not women? Why did you go that side? You already see the conflict. Now this is coming there. So now you said, how do I convince this old lady that this is the one? It took time. But what I'm telling you, and I'm going to be frank, it would have been worse if we were not born again. It would have been worse. But because they know, there is how they stopped looking at us as Catholic, Anglican, Eastern, Northern, whatnot, and they looked at Christ. And everybody was what? Calmed down. Because of what? Of Christ. At the beginning, we were up and down, but when Christ came in, I think she became the mother, my Lord's favorite. Because it was they stopped looking at her as Munyamahanga. They don't say, but the word Dokoro is not an abuse. It's people from Dokoro. Because for us, we knew Obote was from Dokoro. So everybody from that side was Dokoro. So they say, why are you bringing him Dokoro? Because that's the only tribe that we knew in the East. So, but became the favorite of my mother-in-law. Trusted her because of Christ.
Amen.
And I think that was the main thing that even eased and made even my brothers, my sisters, because now they will look at us and say they cannot comment so much because they know these people are born again. So what are you going to choose us from? Because we have embraced Christ. So one of the things that helped us to deal with that conflict was Christ. And I think it almost become now a formula for everybody, and especially the ladies that followed her, they discovered that Christ, because the other ladies married in our home, they discovered that Christ really is the only way to manage in this home. Because our parents are also not easy, but they are born again. But they expect some standards which you have to bring.
Yes.
And the standards of whether you know how to cook, whether you know how to dig, whether you know how to make money, will not add up, will bring more conflicts. It's only Christ that leveled the ground. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, because we go in with expectations, like you had said earlier. Every family has expectations. I come in with expectations. They also have expectations by virtue of their culture and the roles and the values and the norms that they have in the family. And then when I get in there, I suddenly start finding that it's a bit square. I remember when I first went there, when we first went home together, he just walked through the house shouting and calling everybody. Yeah? But for me, where I come from, when a visitor comes, you first come, you welcome the visitor, you show them where they are going to. There was no protocol. So we just move in like that. Everybody finds their house, their bedroom. And so I realized that in this place I have to be quick. So there are things that we have to adjust, say, this is not business as usual. We have to catch on or you'll be left behind. And so you begin to look at, okay, the warmth, the way someone displays warmth is not the way they display.
Exactly.
Yeah, because me, I come from Teso, the way they display warmth is slightly different from the way the Bahoro display their warmth with a lot of noise and some of those things. And so one of the things I had to say, okay, but that is welcoming, that is warmth, that is embracing. And of course the children run off, the children are just having fun all over the place with all the other cousins. So you look at it and say, what is the positive thing here? You don't focus on the things that seem like a downside. You catch on to the positives and you catch up with the whole flow of the family as it is. And then also you begin to look for what are our common interests. Yeah, we are here. What are the things we are going to do? If we are here for 10 days, like especially over Christmas, what are some of the things? What are some of the things Mama would be interested in? What are some of the things my father would be less interested in? What are some of the things his siblings get caught up? His sisters get caught up in roasting kasoli, talking, sitting in the kitchen. You know, you also join with them and look at what are some of the pieces I can pick up that have been left. You look out for the opportunities in that space. And quickly you begin to see how you begin to plug in. You plug in and you get embedded with the people. And then you suddenly realize that what you thought was expected of you is not really mandatory. You can also flow like any child, get a time to nap. You don't have to be there working all the time trying to impress people. You know, you also do your thing and become a child like others in the family. It is hard work. It's got to be intentional. It's got to be purposeful and minimize looking at what you think is a negative or a rejection or a downside, where maybe you are not being appreciated. They appreciate you in their way. You learn to know how you get to be appreciated. And so when new members come into the family, it can cause conflict. But you see, there is the in-law, but also having a new child, a newborn. See, also that comes in and says who is taking care, who is concerned, how are they responding to my child, how are they responding to our children, you know, all those kind of things. What is the kind of help? How are both of us working towards this new person? What effort are we putting in? And so all those new people, then they're friends. You begin to look at their friends. Because when you come together as families, they are friends. There are those seasonal friends who come and pass and go. There are those old friends. And there are all those other voices that are there. How do you ensure that all these voices come into play in harmony? You know, and you know, knowing fully well that Christ has called us into families. The word of God tells us that it is God who puts the lonely in families. Okay? So God knew that you were lonely. If you had stayed at your father's house and you were not married, there is a certain level of loneliness you might have. Or if you did not have this friend or this sister-in-law because she has a certain special thing in her, you'd be lonely, you'd be lost. Okay? So each person has a way that they impact our lives. But even us, we are supposed to bear fruit in the lives of those people. Sometimes one of our challenges is trying to change people.
No. I think there's some. I know when she's talking about. I remember that time when she came home, and she almost wanted to tag on me, because she felt she was not all the time. She wanted to be near her, and I was always moving, going to the cows, going, and then she would come and look for me. But this is the same thing that happened whenever I went to their home. They put a special chair there for me, and they would want me to sit there as an in-law, and I'm not that type. I want to walk around. I want to be. We might be at the corner. Then your mother, people there. He has come, and you find them. People arranging himself. But the issue is, for us in our home, it was different. Theirs was almost organized. Protocol. You have to know what to say, where to sit, how to drink, and what not to say. In our home, we enter. Go through the sitting room. Mommy, how are you? Daddy, how are you? And you are going to the kitchen there. And we are that free, and we are out. We talk freely. For them, they were calculating the words. You look at her now. She calculates every word they would say. They would calculate. We are not calculating the word, so we can see that conflict. So I remember, even up to now, we would be having a function in their village. And all of a sudden they are fighting with the people slaughtering cows. And they are wondering why is Muko here? But in the long run, by the way, they all understood me. And I think when they were coming from, even now when I go, they even ask us, hey, Sam, can we go there? I go with them to the market. Can we go this one? There is no longer that conflict. So that things happens when we other members come in as in family. Okay, I don't know whether now where we are going.
Well, I just love that. But I'm also asking myself, is there any way we can avoid conflicts in family?
No. It's going to, because we are human, we are bound to error. Okay? And that's why the Bible tells us that we need to keep, bear one another's burden. Some people will never change. It doesn't matter what you do. They will not change. So if someone can't change, what do you do with that person? Okay? Conflict is going to come there, even with the best intentions. Something can be misinterpreted. Okay? And so you find that conflict is inevitable. But it's part of what tests our Christianity. It's part of what gives us a testimony of overcomers. Okay? By the time someone, you may get someone and you think they are difficult, and God has assigned you that person. All right? You need to begin asking, what is the role, my role in the life of this person, and why did God give them to me? And you need to pray into some of those things. For some of those situations, you really must pray. For example, if you have somebody who is a drunkard in your family, what do? Do you discard them? Or are you going to spend time praying? You may even have to enter a place of praying and fasting, even as you walk and talk with them. And sometimes you have to put in place a certain diversion, even if it means putting them in a workplace somewhere and you are the one paying, especially if you know what skill they have. You do that because you want them to be diverted. You want them to begin to feel they are useful. You want to give them to begin to utilize the skill. So what you do is you put them in a place and you pay. If the people in that place value what they are doing, then they will begin to do what? To pay that person, and we have seen it work. It has worked in our family with our siblings and some other people whom we have given those kind of placements. So we need to understand, where is the cause of the conflict for each person? Is it because they never had opportunity? Is it because they're just being plain difficult? Or are they dealing with some other underlying issue that if you are able to uncover it, you will be able to do what? To actually help them. Sometimes you have even ended up taking family or friends to Tarika Hospital. Now that is the only one other way to deal. Of course, getting them to go there, to accept to go there, is another process. But you have to know that, am I in this for the long haul, or do I hand it over to somebody else who is able to do what? To handle those kind of things. For example, we'll look at also areas that are difficult. We are going to 2026. There's going to be politicking. Okay? And you'll find in this house, this person is this party, this person is the other party. How are you going to handle it? And it comes out. I remember one time my mother-in-law, she was over one place, and then the other people were teasing her in the compound, and what they did a mock ballot
with workers and
with the workers. And the person whom mom wanted did not go through the
oh my God.
Yeah, so she said, no, you can all go away from this compound. And things like that. But you see, there is a way to help people understand without being rude in there.
And it was fun also.
It was
managing conflict sometimes, something funny, jokes like that one, because there was an argument in a home, and it was during the peak time when she was saying about politics. My father was somewhere. My father was quiet about where he was. My mother was very strong where she was. The rest of the family members were also somewhere else. The workers and the people were also could not talk because they did not take sides. So we did a mock elections in the compound. Then she lost. But she lost, but we also laughed it off and it became a joke. So sometimes, managing conflicts. And what was happening, she would invest a lot, and then when she loses, she will not be happy. But sometimes when we joke around those things, in my home we joke around, we make fun. So sometimes, when the conflicts are dense, we make a lot of fun, and then so sometimes conflict, somebody who knows how to make fun and joke can
as
help.
long as it is not a kind of joke that injures the
That
other
kind of-
person.
Yes, you have to know what to say and how you can deal with the different person, because we are different people. So you have to know, how do I deal with this one? Well, our time is really fast spent, and let's have this as our real last question, and then we give our parting shots and close. So in this era, we see some almost parents raising their children to be competitive, which has actually resulted into sibling rivalry. And now we want to know, what are the tips of good parenting, just in summary?
When it comes to raising children, I think we need to understand that each child is different and unique. And each child has their own separate needs, but also they have their own strong points. Now, what we need to do is affirming these children and praying with them, helping them to identify, by the grace of God, where God wants each of them to go. You find that in a family, when you sit, children can actually agree and say, so and so has the skill of taking care of parents, so and so has the skill of tinkering with things, so and so is just there, but all they do is just talking, it's like a mobilizer. Then other people are just rakers in of money. But you see that everybody has their skill. If somebody is good at teaching, or good at IT, or doing medicine, or doing ministry, or is excelling on one area, we affirm them for what they do. There is no need of pushing one child against the other. Because sometimes when we find one child is weak, it is more discouraging to compare that child with the other child, okay, who seems to have been on takeoff mode. And so it is important to affirm every child with their baby steps, with their milestones, without comparing children. Not only comparing them in your house, but not even comparing them with their cousins or with strangers. But it is well to come and bring a case and say, so and so had these challenges, especially challenges similar to what the child might be facing. Okay? So and so had these challenges and was able to work it through. Okay? Because I know you have this skill. This person also walked this way. So and so was an expert. Now if you find someone who is on takeoff mode, you take that child and say, okay, you are excelling. These are the pitfalls of people who are excellent. It is very easy for you to fall on the wayside when they're high. You are no longer hitting the targets like you used to. Also understand that you are human. If anything happens, so, and then you find there are these children who are naturally givers. They are like lovers. All the time they are hugging you. All the time they are making your bed. That is who they are. But then if you look at the other side, they also have a shortcoming on the other side. And so when we are raising children, let us, as much as possible, pray for our children. I know one of the things we did as we had our children is praying for them when they were even in the womb. Asking God, give me the wisdom with which to know what to do with this child. And then when a child comes to a place of crisis, again going for prayer and asking Lord, which way, Lord, with this child? Because you can easily beat a child, you can scream at a child and achieve no results.
Exactly.
Okay?
And it's always like that. You achieve no results.
No results. And so you go into the place of prayer, you begin to walk with this child, you begin to understand what is going on. Sometimes you might actually find you, the parent, you are the problem at one time. You may have made a statement, you may have done something that put that child down. And so when you purposefully say, I'm going, like my husband, Sam always likes to find time for children and say, today I'm walking with so-and-so, today I'm spending time with so-and-so. And in that time of spending time with someone, that is where certain things are resolved. And when we walk with our children, they begin to talk, because why? You are having a special focus on them. And then I remember one of the things we also tried is having a day for each child, to pray with each child. Praying with each child, spending time in prayer with each child, and asking them to be accountable for what was the other thing that we agreed on during the last session. And so it is hard work. Sometimes you find you are too busy. Some days you may slide, but you go back and see, how best can I help this child? But the thing is this, one of the things as parents that we really want to see is when our children love each other and they're holding on to each other. I remember when our daughter was getting married, the last night before she wedded, the night before she wedded, all her siblings spent the night with her in the room. And what they were, it was like their way of releasing her, but also making sure that we still have you even as you are transitioning to the next slide. So as parents, we have to make sure that the real thing is cohesion. What happens if you go away? God forbid you are no longer there, and your children cannot hold the fort and hold and support for each other, because God gives us family as the first port of call, and then He will also give us friends. He's also giving us church and fellowship. So really, what needs to happen when we love our children, when they know how to love one another, hopefully that is what they will also translate to their children and the generations to come. Love one another, avoid conflict. By the Romans tell us, in as much as it is possible, strive to live at peace with every man. And so that is what we want to see. They also strive among themselves. If they learn to manage conflict between the two of them, if they learn, within the family, that means they can also manage conflict in the workplace, in church, in the public space, and all those other places.
Wow, thank you. Please give us your parting shot.
Now,
yeah.
you talked about raising children and this last question which you talked about. I've been seeing the systems of education and the systems that are in the competition that are in life now. Our education system rewards excellence, those who have become the best, and condemns the one who is weak. And sometimes the children also, when they are not performing well in class or not, they also feel uncomfortable. And they say they go home. The parents do the same thing. Why are you the last? Why can't you be the best? So they are condemned at school, they are condemned at home. And in the long run, they start feeling they are not worthy of anything. What you were talking about, that affirming the children. I have watched about my children, about the children we have. Everybody is gifted differently, completely. There are those who read, who got class, attend, never read anything at home, and pass. And there are those who go home, and every time they're in the reading, and they also pass. And there are those who have to be pushed to be able to perform. They are all different, and they are all gifted differently. The most important thing as parents now, avoid that competition. Actually, I've seen that competition is easily managed in my home, that everybody seems to be comfortable in his area. I have one child who, for him, his issues are human rights. And she wanted to do law, she'd say no to do human rights. That's why she was gifted, and that's why she's excelling and doing and being comfortable. Another one said likes mathematics and physics. She did IT. We also, her family said yes, she might be struggling here and there, but that is where she's gifted. The other one, who was actually reading so much, became a doctor. But for her, we know she became a doctor because for her she was reading so much. The young boy now, I think also was saying he wants to become a doctor. He's doing very well. He's struggling. For him, even went into a different education system, the ACE, because it has individual competing within yourself, not competing with the whole world, but also focusing in the world where you can also be better placed. So he's also doing very well. So also the type of education we receive, when even at work, they don't see, they only reward excellence and condemn this one and making people realize either you compete or you fail and fail out. So we have seen, I think, about the education system. It is very, very important also to have a good education system and to affirm our children because they are different. We are also different.
Wow, thank you very much, Sam, and thank you, Carol. Our time is actually done. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us and also for giving us such an amazing talk. And to you, our dear viewer, we love you. We love you so very much. Thank you for loving the Family Hour. It happens every Monday to Friday, and today we had our Friday episode, which is always about parenting. We love you so very much. Please remember to tune in again on Monday with Adrian Austin Mukalazi to take you through, and I'll be back on Friday. It is a bye-bye. See you again on Friday.